This guy could have gone the cushy life. It could have just been wealth and acting gigs and movies. No, he decides, I don't know, because he's a fool or a genius, to take on a giant business, to try and create a sports league. He's been doing it. It's not trying. It's in its sixth season. There's TV contract involved. The Big Three Basketball League is a venture that is already successful. But Cube, you can tell us, and thank you for joining us, it's got to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life professionally to try and be overseeing something as sprawling as this kind of business.
Hands down. In music, Dr. Dre and one of my friends who became a producer lived down the street from me. So, I was able to meet him at 14 years old. John Singleton discovered me as an actor and put me in Boys in the Hood. So no auditions or no crazy stories about, struggling as an actor. And so, but the Big Three, that's something me and my guy, Jeff Quantnitz, who I've been working with for over 25 years, we invented this like from scratch. So, but it's so dope. It's like one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done in my career because, it's been so hard, but, we're getting over the hump, which is great. We're in our sixth season. We still got some of the biggest names in sports a part of the league. And, we got, great new investors coming in. And it's just, we almost rolling downhill, Dan. So that's a great place to be with something that we've been, kind of pushing up the hill. And we would have already been there if it wasn't for COVID. COVID kind of knocked every business, back a few notches. So, here we are, season 6, jumping off June 25th. Live on CBS. We're ready to go.
It's coming to Miami next month, right here where the Heat are playing in the finals. But I want to talk to you about how hard it's been and where it's been hard and things you didn't expect in the creation of a business. Give me the time in the last 6 years, because startups are really hard and leagues are really hard, where you've been angriest at someone or something because things keep getting in the way of your ambition.
Well, we're not naive. We knew this wasn't going to be an easy lift. We thought we would get a lot more love from the overall sports media community. You've always been supportive of the league and us promoting and me coming on and pushing the league over the hump. So, but for the most part, we thought we was going to get more love from the sports landscape. Like I said, we got some of the biggest names. We got Hall of Famers as our coaches. And so to really virtually ignore a league that's this great, that's this dope in the summer, where there's nothing else as far as hoops. I know NBA got their summer league, but, after you see the first or second pick play once or twice, that's pretty much over, and you wait for the regular season. So, the Big Three is where it's at. So that's been, eye-opening. Also, the resistance from the NBA. A lot of owners love us. I just think it's really, it comes down to Adam Silver. I just don't think he, really digs what we're doing personally. But, as far as the game of hoops, I think we're very additive when it comes to keeping basketball in people's mind, all year long. Now, that we've had some things, some crazy things with some people that we've had to deal with, inside the league that we've, pretty much kind of scraped out of there. And so we're just looking forward to a great season. The players are ready to go. The fans, our ratings are still, we're still better than MLS. they have more games than us, but the ratings are the ratings, and NHL. So, we should be on the map. And in some cases, they're not putting us where we belong.
Yeah, Cube, I went to a game the first season in LA, and I thought the crowd was kind of just there to be seen, and I didn't really get it. And then the second year I went to a game in Dallas, and it blew my mind. How into it the crowd was, the energy, and that's when I really started to understand the vision of what this league could be. What are some of the things that you learned from year one to right now?
Kind of our tempo. We have a long off season, so we got to look for our spots and the places where we can, ramp the league back up and get in everybody's, consciousness again. We had to learn that year by year on when do we really start to ramp up our promotion of the league. Those kind of things. We've had, issues, with just, kind of getting a lot of, obstacles out of our way. But, we got more sponsors this year than we had last year. So we're in a better spot there. We still got our deal with CBS. So it's been great on that tip. Getting the, like I said, the overall sports world to really look at what we're doing as something that could be around for a long time and could grow internationally pretty fast. So, it's really just about chopping wood and convincing people that this is, something dope in the summer to get into. It's 10 weeks. So it's, every game is very meaningful. You start dropping teams, and after 6 weeks, if you ain't up there, you're gonna start getting dropped for the best teams to come down the stretch. So it's very interesting league.
Cube, most of the venues you guys play in are NBA arenas, but you said like the NBA doesn't really embrace you guys, even though it's not a competitive product. It's like you said, it's additive, it's complementary. Why do you think that is? Like, first of all, why?
Well, he mentioned Silver. Like, what happened with Adam Silver?
They view us as competitive, so they don't view us as additive or complementary. We're the only league that NBA owners can invest in, even though many have shown, interest in investing. Some of the top names out there have shown interest in investing in the big three, and their bylaws won't allow them. But they can invest in, TBT. They can invest in, any other league, pickleball. They can invest in, whatever's out there, but not the big three.
Again, on June 25th, the Big Three Basketball League tips off its sixth season. CBS is the primary broadcast partner. 20 hours of live weekend games, summer of this 2023. And also we've got games in Miami, July 23rd. Cube, thank you for the time. We appreciate you being on with us. I wanted to talk to you about the dirty game of trying to get investors and doing business overseas when you need investors, but it's probably better that we just go ahead and go to break, because I'm guessing you don't want to talk about those people who are bigger thieves than anybody in the music business has ever been.
No, I don't want to get into that. I think, in the end, we're going to end up working it out, but we do have a MLB investor that we're going to announce very soon, who believes in the league, and he wants to put a team.
Is his name David Sampson?
In a cool spot. Nah, but he can give us a call if he needs to. He's looking to be a part of this great thing that we're growing. We're also putting teams in cities, so that's going to be amazing too. Dan, you can have the Miami team, man. Go on and hit me up.
Well,
I know you need to spend that money somewhere.
He has assessed the Cyclones.
I got a spot too, Dan.
I would like to actually buy a team. I am just afraid of this as a business enterprise because my guess is that when you started this, you had no idea what a pain in the ass it was going to be. How incredibly hard. Like you had an idea it was going to be hard, but that I can't even imagine, Cube, what you could have done anything. You could have music acts touring all over the country. You could have had this.
Boring.
So it would have been so much easier.
Boring. Easy is not fun. Easy is boring. Who needs easy? Like we're almost, look, it only costs $18 million a year to run this league. They pay that to some athletes per year. So we're this close to being over the hump, and then it's all profit, baby. You better get on in. I'm telling you.
Oh, well, but I know that you're proud of the fact that on top of this, like you see the potential, the vision of real ownership, of not bleeping around, not real ownership.
Yes. That's what it's all about. I don't want to, I could have been a minority owner of a little small, of a piece of a NFL team or an NBA team. But, basically you're just a fan who's paid a lot of money to sit in good seats. So, I wanted to make sure we can run something from the ground up, something we can be proud of, something that can go on and on for a long time. And we're here. 6 years.
You edited yourself for the people. I am not used to Ice Cube editing himself.
He's a businessman.
He is a businessman now, and he had to be careful with his word choice there. Thank you, sir.
All right, man. Take it easy, man. God bless. Later.
When the day began today, I did not think we would end up in subject matter that would include a bowling team at Stephen F. Austin. But this story from an assistant coach at said bowling team. His wife is the head coach. The assistant coach had an affair with one of his bowlers. That part by itself is something that might pique your interest. The quotes attributed to Steve Lemke when being asked about having an affair with one of his bowlers, and he's the assistant coach, and his wife is the head coach. Quote, I knew it was kind of a no-no, but there's not a rule saying it can't happen. There's not a law saying I'm going to go to jail for doing something like this. There's nothing in stone. I guess it's just an ethics code, like we frown upon it, but there's no rule. There's no law broken. He continues, I was the stay-at-home dad for 5 years with the kids while Amber got to go off and coach the team, and when she'd get back, I'd run practices on top of taking care of the kids while she was back. When they'd travel again, I would sit back and take care of the kids. Then when I got hired on, she almost forced me to run practices. I was a volunteer the entire time before that, trying to help out Amber. Once I got hired on, one thing stemmed from another. I felt like I was doing too much for what I was being valued at. The headline on this story, spare relationship causes awkward split. No!
What is the matter with you? Get off my plane. What is the matter with you?
I'm with Billy.
What?
Splash.
Both Billy and Jessica, and now Mike is in the back row giving thumbs down.
I gave a thumbs down to the Loser Game Show sound. That's a very clever headline. But you know what?
Some
I
of the
took a
best
step
writing.
back. I got to acknowledge this is not my show anymore.
What is this man's problem? Yeah, truly. I think there are rules that if you are a coach of a team, you cannot sleep with an athlete on the team. I think that is probably something that he maybe signed or in a handbook
rules.
somewhere.
There's
And it's
rules.
also quite literally written in stone,
In
the
stone,
10
yeah.
Commandments.
Yeah.
commandment. Yeah,
But I don't think that Stephen F. Austin's bowling team may have rules or terms and conditions.
I believe they are national champions, and I could be wrong about that. I believe that they're multi-time
Oh, it's a
national
good bowling
champions.
team.
Yeah.
It's a good
You
bowling
believe
team.
you don't know the NCAA bowling champion off the top of your head?
It's crazy.
On
this
a
is
sports
all
show?
this is all crazy. And then to basically blame your wife on it. on your bad behavior is just the boldest thing that I've heard in a long time. It sounds like something a Tim Robinson character would do. I didn't do
Jessica, I can't believe that story. I thought it was from The Onion. I thought it was being written by fiction writers until I saw that headline. It was the headline that convinced me all of this has to be real.
Did you read down in the article where they just said the bowler in question is out of eligibility and will not be returning next year?
Oh, what?
Well, maybe that's what he's saying isn't against the rules or against the law. It's just a morality in his marriage that he's fractured.
doing something and then being like, well, I didn't break the law. Like in the same voice as the referee in Air Bud, who's like, there's no rule saying the dog can't play basketball. That's crazy.
But being quoted on your resentment.
Deep pool.
It's
no rule that says I can't have sex with someone on my team that my wife coaches because she's left me at home for 5 years taking care of my kids. God forbid I do some childcare around here while she has a job.
I almost got eaten.
To be quoted on your marital resentment as an explanation for, well, this is why I cheated. I mean, she drove me to it because I wasn't as successful as she was.
Usually how it goes in terms of excuses I've read of.
The headline was bowling puns.
You just gave yourself.
No, I get it now.
Puns.
Oh, okay.
You weren't getting before spare relationship causes awkward split. You missed the first time.
Let's try it. Let's try it one more time.
I guess his.
What was the headline?
I guess his mind was in the gutter.
I don't think that. No.
It's a gutter ball.
It's a gutter ball.
Because
Dan.
that's when you
throw
throw
it. Yeah, it goes in the gutter.
Yeah.
Don't make me do the one about fingers and holes.
Speaking of gutter balls, golf balls in the gutter. The U.S. Open was a total disaster transition. The U.S. Open, the first one after the alleged not merger between the PGA and LIV, Jessica and Mike were both complaining that it felt like a small-time affair, that it ceased to feel like a major. The throwing big events evidently is what the country club gets right. They do it correctly. They televise it correctly right up until they merge with, the Saudi money. And then the next production that the U.S. Open makes is Amateur Hour.
Well, so this is the USGA, I think, is responsible for making this agreement with LA Country Club to host the event. And then there were all sorts of reports that they didn't want to offer tickets to non-members. And then the type of tier of ticket that they put on for sale was the reason that the crowd was so sparse the first 3 days. And so there was a lot to be desired from the first few days of the tournament. But the thing that I found the most annoying was that incessant drone noise in the broadcast all day Sunday. I thought, like, is my door open? Is there something going on outside? No, it was some plane flying overhead at LA Country Club. It was so annoying. Wow. And I read more details about this country club, which is in the middle of Beverly Hills. It costs $250,000 to join. And there's only 800 members or something like that. Very, very exclusive club. Can't wear shorts there. Can't use your phone there. If you are 7 years old or older, you have to wear a dinner jacket at the clubhouse in a certain amount of time. Like, if you're just kind of like going to, eat at the club and you're 7 or older, you have to put on a dinner jacket.
Did you see how much they pay in taxes a year?
Yeah, they pay taxes based off of a 1970s land valuation because of some California law. So they save $80 million on taxes per year.
Hole 5 has Judy Garland's old home that was used as the exterior for Sunset Boulevard.
Apparently the Playboy Mansion I also saw was on the country club grounds. I mean, just a ridiculously exclusive venue for a club. And it would have been fine if it weren't for that airplane noise.
The buzzing.
Driving me crazy
The buzzing.
on Sunday.
Every single day of this tournament, you had to almost watch it on mute. Because also, I think their ticket approach led to no ambient noise from the crowd because there wasn't really any crowd nor atmosphere.
Perfect sports television for me if I can just watch it on mute.
It was preferred. It was so annoying, the constant buzzing. The USGA just totally made what should be one of the more fun tournaments because you get primetime golf When do you ever get that? And you had Ricky Fowler and you had Rory McIlroy trying to win majors. Rory hasn't won one, I think, since 2014. Ricky was everybody's favorite golfer in like 2017, and he's never in the conversation in the final round, and he finally was. And yet you had this grading tournament the entire time.
Are you guys saying that the sound made the U.S. Open droning?
You can't give yourself. Get out of here. Just go sit in the
He
penalty
wants
box.
that, Dan. Leave
5
him in
minutes,
here.
5 minutes. No, get him out of here. I know Mike wants to step back. Jessica, you please move into the seat. Mike will remain in the back, and we will continue to talk about. He's just at this point. He's tired of the responsibility. He's worked about as hard as he can. He's relieved to have Stugotz out of his life for a couple of days, and he did that just to get me to kick him out. You're right, Tony. But what I'm going to also do is deduct it from his paycheck, and that he's not going to want.
Touche.
The U.S. Open, though, Mike, because the noisiness of it, Jessica was saying it was a lot worse if you were there, that they were trying to mitigate it on the telecast. They were trying to dilute it on the telecast, and it was just because there were so many planes flying overhead. Jessica mentioned what this country club costs. It's $250,000. So as much as it costs to go in that submersive to see the Titanic, just to be a part of this exclusive club, it didn't feel, just because of the noise to you, like it was exclusive?
Crap course. Just all of it was bad. It all felt very small time on something that is really look forward to. A major on the West Coast, the ability to watch marquee names in primetime television during Father's Day weekend. You kidding me? My wife asked me, what do I want for Father's Day? I said, on Sunday, I want a midday nap, and I want to be able to watch the final round of the U.S. Open. And I turned it on, and I couldn't do it anymore. I had to put it on mute. It was just so grating and bad. And also, I found out Wyndham Clark is a January 6th truther, which didn't, allegedly, but it didn't really surprise me all that much, because you're not allowed to be surprised about the political leanings of golfers and hockey players, I found out. You just got to accept that.
Now I know why Mike didn't know who NBA Youngboy was or Blueface or any of these people, because he wants a midday nap and to watch golf.
I was just
on
thinking,
Sunday.
Tony,
Don't you nap during the
Bobby,
witching
I was
hour?
on the boat. I was hanging out.
Don't you nap during the witching hour?
No, I napped during like the 4:45 Colts Raiders game with Ian Eagle on.
But you're going to give me crap for napping during golf?
Well, I do think, though, look, both of you are really sketchy with what it is that you're doing for different reasons. Tony is sleeping during what is considered the most fun and energetic time in all of sports, the witching hour, NFL Sunday. That seems absurd by itself. But he's also right, Mike, when he says, you've never said anything older than what I want for Father's Day is a nap during golf.
I've got a 3-year-old. Okay, two people that don't have 3-year-olds judging me for what I believe to be an ideal Father's Day. Let me get an hour midday nap, recharge the batteries, and let me sit on a couch and watch a TV that is not occupied by Steve and Maggie or Bluey or Peppa Pig or Blippi or any of that crap.
God,
let me
Blippi.
let me have the main TV to watch golf. This was my one request. I wasn't allowed to nap, and the buzzing overhead made the U.S. Open intolerable.
Why didn't you watch it on mute like Dan does?
I ended up doing that.
Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show, Juju. Is it a great Father's Day gift to have an hour nap on the main television during golf? Is it the best Father's Day gift? Because it was the only one you wanted. You requested one gift.
Well, I didn't want a gift. I just wanted to be able to take a midday nap and watch the final round uninterrupted and not have the big TV, the one that I've spent too much money on, occupied by Steve and Maggie. Do you know what Steve and Maggie is?
I have no idea.
Steve is this guy that goes up and he points out like a cup, and this is the entirety of the show. And my daughter finds it hilarious. Oh, it's a cup. It's a cup. It's a cup. And I'm going to drink a cup of coffee. It's a coffee. It's a coffee. It's harmful to my mental health.
I zoned out for the last 3 minutes. I have no idea what just happened.
Roy, you agree with Mike. You're the only one with kids, and you're out here agreeing with Mike.
He just gave some sage advice right there. Just take a nap.
It's a nap. It's a nap. It's a nap.
We haven't talked nearly enough about what happened with Bob Huggins. We'll get to that in just a second. I also want to get to a story I read about United Airlines baggage handlers were making $10,000 a week by basically just stealing weed from the luggage of passengers. The perfect crime, because who's going to say anything about their stolen weed? I don't know how they got caught. I don't know how their business enterprise worked, if they used dogs or if they were just opening everybody's bags. But before we get to that, Jessica, Off the Looking Glass, you do it weekly with Kate Fagan. What is it that you're tackling this week that you're excited about?
Well, I teased it a while back. We watched The Sandlot. We did a little review. We had Patrick Renna on, who is one of the star child actors of The Sandlot. But more importantly, we had on the Snacks podcast, which is the podcast hosted by Sam Ewis and Lynn Williams. Lynn Williams today was named to the U.S. Women's National Team World Cup roster. Big day, Dan. Roster reveal day for the World Cup, which starts in about a month. I mean, it's going to be here around the corner in Australia, New Zealand. We were so excited to have them on. And then Roy and I watched an 8-minute roster reveal video on Twitter that had some of the heaviest of the heavy hitters on, naming all of the roster spots for the World Cup. I've never seen anything like it. It opened with Joe Biden and Jill Biden, the president and the first lady, and then it had Megan Thee Stallion in it. It had, Roy, help me, who else was in it?
Is she the Stallion?
Taylor Swift was in it.
She's the Stallion? I thought
Megan
there's
Thee
The
Stallion.
Stallion. Two E's at the end, yeah.
You got me. You're right. It had Taylor Swift in it. It had stars on stars on stars. I've never seen anything like it. It was probably 5 minutes too long because after the first 5 stars, I was like, all right, Blake Lively, honestly, next to all these other people, like a letdown, right? Like halfway through, Roy, correct me if I'm wrong. You're watching this video with me and we're like, all right, well, those are like the 5 most famous people in the United States back to back to back. And now it's like Mariska Hargitay, love her. But I'm like, wow, like we're still going. This is a long video.
Yeah, it went down for a little bit and then went right back up with Gabby Union.
Exactly. Crazy video.
Roy, how did you feel about it? You were watching with Jessica? You were watching for 8 straight minutes just enjoying the pageantry or what?
I was enjoying the pageantry of having these A-listers on this video, like one person per celebrity. That's a long video. They gave their own opinions and everything. So,
it was like the gal, help me pronounce her last name.
Gadot?
Gadot.
Yeah.
I'm bad with pronunciations. It was like the Imagine video almost, but like for the World Cup roster. It was just like another Tina Fey. All right, haven't thought about Tina Fey. All right, another one.
Becky Sauerbrunn going to be missing the World Cup.
That's a huge bummer.
I'm very excited about the World Cup, but I do want to put something on everybody's radar. There's a potential conflict from hell if you like soccer. Because there is the growing belief, especially if you look at rising ticket prices, that Lionel Messi's debut with Inter Miami will be in a brand new competition called the Leagues Cup, where they take teams from Liga MX in Mexico and MLS, and they put them in group play in a World Cup-style tournament. The date for Cruz Azul versus Inter Miami is the same day as the U.S. women's national team's first match at the World Cup. One slated to kick off at 8 o'clock, the other slated to kick off at 9 o'clock. And I really hope, because considering the interest in both those events, that they don't cannibalize their own audience.
I'll be watching the World Cup.
Dan,
as it's the World Cup.
I have an idea to run by you that probably should be off air, but we're here, so let's do it. I had someone in Australia reach out to me and offer to be our Women's World Cup correspondent live from Australia. Is that something that interests the people of the court?
Is it Morgan?
It is Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Australia,
Yeah, Billy, go sit in the penalty box again.
Why?
Because why would I want to take your ideas?
We're trying to figure out the coverage of the Women's World Cup.
It's a good idea, Dan.
We have a planning problem around here. So the World Cup hasn't happened yet.
I'll tell you what,
put this out in front of everyone here a month out.
Okay, I've already rejected it. Thank you. But go sit in the penalty box.
You just want to have Morgan on because she lives in Australia?
We do have
we don't have to pay for
She's
airfare.
going to. I know that a sponsor is covering all the ticket prices and all the travel and all that, so it's basically free coverage.
Wait, what?
Why are you still here?
I don't know. I'm just talking.
Okay,
We're
yeah.
not sending one of the people
Our
hosting
planning
the women's
problem is that you don't plan
podcast?
before the microphone is on.
That World Cup's.
Yeah, don't want to have a meeting about this now. Thank you.
Did you guys know that You're Killing Me Smalls was in the film Sandlot, and that's where it came from?
Yes.
You learn something new every day.
Getting back to Bob
Can she go
Huggins.
too?
Yes, you can go too. Go sit with Billy. Yes, in front of the Stugotz face. Not helpful, either one of you. Now, of course, this puts Mike in the position where he has stepped back. So, Roy, I need you to get in the seat, please, where the decisions are made. And now you see why it is that bad ideas are not allowed to sit in that seat. Yeah, let's just farm out content to somebody who lives in Australia because we're lazy.
They live in Australia,
because they
though,
live in
Dan.
Australia.
Yeah, no,
It's
thank
a
you.
time difference thing, you know?
But they live in Australia. Right.
Yeah, that's just a terrible idea. Why? I'm not going to get used to, Mike, him sitting in that seat and giving me bad ideas because he likes to do things. He likes to do a show for just himself. And so he wants to do 40 people on Zoom all the time and do the show for those 40 people and nobody else. And I can't have that running the show around here because it'll sink right into the gutter and we'll just have 40 people talking because Billy wants to talk to them.
Sorry, I physically stepped back, though. I don't know what you want me to do about it. If I sit in that chair, I annoy the audience. And so far, feedback for me sitting in other chairs has gone great. Like, no one seems to have an issue with
I
me
like
when
you
I'm
back
sitting
here,
in other
Mike.
chairs. I like being back here,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's fresh.
And you know what? Maybe Wi-Fi had something to do with the pyramids.
Interesting.
Okay.
Getting back to Bob Huggins, who somehow survived in a way that I was surprised by, even though I've seen some things in sports.
I mean, it's well known. He's had a DUI in the past, but this is
just
like
stop
one of
for
the
a
worst
second.
kept secrets in all of
Just
sports.
stop for a second. Yes, I can say that I have seen Bob Huggins a handful of times away from basketball games, and it's been hammered, like publicly super hammered. And he's had another DUI, but that's not the part I'm talking about. I'm talking about him a month ago surviving the scandal of going on live radio in his market and very casually using a gay slur. And surviving it easily by just saying, I'll pay $1 million fine. You can't affect me. Bob Huggins is a legend. Bob Huggins does or is reported to care about his kids a great deal. Bob Huggins also, based on multiple DUIs, I think you can you can surmise that the drinking is a problem once you've gotten to the multiple DUIs. But he survived the first scandal, and this was cumulative. This was West Virginia saying, yeah, it can't be that and also that. We're not going to do both of those, but he leaves with that as the punctuation on what is a legendary college career. The details on this story, beer cans in the car.
Burger King,
which is, I mean, that right there, I don't even need a breathalyzer to know that if you're at beer cans in the car and Budweiser, we don't have to do any roadside testing.
yeah.
You've been drinking.
How about if you're Bob Huggins and you pull over Bob Huggins? I don't really need much more than that, but apparently, according to some of the details that I've read, he reportedly didn't know what city he was in. He was asked repeatedly, and he gave a different answer to that question a couple of times. And there's body cam footage somewhere of this that has not been released yet. I imagine it was a really bad look. And I was also kind of bothered by the slap on the wrist that he got for the first one. And now that this is out there in the public sphere, when I first heard that clip, privately workshopping, guy sounds a little, little sauced up, given what I know about Bob Huggins and how casually he just rifled that takeoff, that homophobic slur.
Let's examine for a second the timing of these two things. If you believe that this is cumulative, on the first one couldn't get Bob Huggins fired, so I understand why David Sampson and others jumped to the conclusion of DUI greater crime.
Very successful offseason for West Virginia when it comes to the portal. I think you can make an argument. Arkansas has won it because they can directly fund their NIL. But West Virginia was slated to have a big season, which I guarantee you went into the first offense when they were trying to figure out the punishment.
Bob Huggins is great at being a mercenary in the mercenary game. He is one of the names that you associate with can get talent at any time, knows how to run through the labyrinth that is the evolution of NIL and money, because he's been dealing in this moneyed game, getting the good players for a long time. But I want to...
And he'd be at a much bigger program if it wasn't for his track record.
I want to examine, though, the timing of these things. Does he survive the DUI if it's first?
Yes. He he very clearly survived the first offense. I think if they were just, if the DUI happened first, even at a .210, you say I get treatment, you can navigate that from a PR standpoint. But on the heels of the homophobic slur in which everybody was upset at the lack of punishment that he got, it was what, 2 games?
Well, but it was $1 million. It was $1 million.
I mean, people that doesn't really register.
Okay,
when you see these contracts.
It is punitive. I thought he should have been fired. I was surprised that he wasn't.
Right, and maybe it might have been a last straw type of thing. Like you can't embarrass us on the heels of this because we kind of took one for you.
But you believe that if he had gotten the 2.1 DUI, that he would have kept his job, and then he does the radio interview and then loses his job? You think that?
Well, I don't think he does a radio interview at that point because he's getting treatment. But I do think, I think him being terminated has everything to do with both of these things happening back to back. I think it's a combination of the two and not just one.
But the thing that I was interested in that he survived the first one on was like, oh wow, West Virginia's willing to take the blowback on that, on being a place where your constituency is okay with the mercenary coach saying something that is hugely antiquated by the standards of 2023. Even if you come from the jocular language of the locker room, everybody understands the head coach can't be that dumb, but he survives it somehow, and they're willing to take the hit on that, but then, the DUI is too much for our morality.
I guess it's worth noting that he resigned. So maybe.
Yes, of course. Resigned, but resigned under pressure. Resigned so he could get the rest of his money, however it is that the lawyers can figure it out on.